Welcome, I'm Nina Gryphon, and this is the Astrology and Magic channel. Today we'll talk about the astrology of the third week of June 2024. First off, I wanted to say thank you to all of my patrons. If you would like to become a patron, you can visit patreon.com/Nina Gryphon. At the highest tier, you can sign up for Magical Elections, which is a monthly ebook that teaches you how and when to make astrological talismans at the most auspicious times. June 17th, Mercury enters Cancer. Mercury in Cancer now works his transformational magic on the realm of devotion, emotion, and imagination. This transit brings an opportunity to sprinkle some magic dust on the emotional body. It is said that we simultaneously inhabit multiple bodies, the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, and many traditions go even beyond this number. Mercury in Cancer thus has the key to accessing our emotional body, and we can work with this placement to explore and understand the deeper currents of our swirling, ever-changing emotional life. Cancer is a cardinal sign whose symbol is the flowing river, or even the whitewater rapids, so this placement is going to be dynamic and conducive to change if we approach it the right way. I have a story for you in that regard. A few years ago, I went whitewater river rafting. I was lucky that I was on a boat with some very strong rowers with much more experience than me, so we successfully made it over all the rapids and oncoming waves. Whitewater makes me think of Cancer. You are moving quickly down a fast-moving, destabilizing river of emotion, and the secret to success is to row hard and fast as the waves come in directly in order to meet them. Timing is particularly important. You can't row too early or too late. You must approach the wave at just the right moment. This is where Mercury can be helpful. He is all about refined skill and finesse, not just the muscle, but also knowing when to act to make the desired impact. Combining that knowledge, strength, and the willingness to engage with a world of emotion is the challenge during Mercury in Cancer. June 18th, Mercury at 0 Cancer conjoins Venus. In my opinion, this is one of the most magical aspects all of June. Mercury and Venus conjoining are always a dynamic, potentially destabilizing combination. The god of magic, trickery, and weirdness combined with the goddess of desire is both awe-inspiring and a little terrifying from a human perspective. All the planets, of course, remind us that we humans are not in control, but Mercury and Venus can really reorient our plans and structures from deep within. There is a reason that traditional societies often look askance at both magic and uncontrolled desire, which are symbolized by Mercury and Venus respectively, as they can be completely socially destabilizing. When they join forces like this, we have the opportunity to make some subtle changes and reorient undesirable influences within us as well as around ourselves. Since this conjunction occurs at the start of the summer cardinal sign Cancer, this gives the conjunction the feeling of a new beginning or a possible change of direction. This conjunction then is a reminder that if we can reorient our desires, we can change the direction of our entire world. June 20th, the Sun at 29 Gemini squares Neptune in Pisces. This is another destabilizing combination, as is often the case with Neptune. We have the sense that something is ending, and it may be somewhat dramatic. The Sun illuminates and brings a measure of truth or understanding to a tangled and muddy situation. Neptune at the end of Pisces appears to carry the meaning of consequences, and the Sun squaring Neptune may bring an encounter with the truth that can no longer be avoided or postponed. June 20th, the Sun enters Cancer. This is the start of the summer season in the Northern Hemisphere, and it is also called the Cancer ingress. The specific impact of the ingress depends on the location for which you cast that chart, because that will change the planet's house location. However, their zodiacal location and aspects will be the same everywhere. The moon is key in these charts, and here it is in Sagittarius, applying to square Saturn in Pisces. It's a heavy aspect that weighs on the normally ebullient moon in Sagittarius. People want to have a good time and be carefree, but there is something in the way, symbolized by Saturn. It could be fear, could be a lack of money. Saturn does represent the lack of resources. Saturn in Pisces will come across as an emotional downbeat and the feeling of futility as well. There's also a wide Mars-Pluto square that suggests the human propensity for violence may be given free rein in some places this summer. On the plus side, the Sun conjoins Venus, so there's plenty of opportunity for deep empathy and acts of compassion. But to do that, we have to take a moment away from feeling afraid or bad for ourselves, and that can be hard to do. Remember that doing good things for others generates good feelings for the giver as well as for the recipient. The recommendation for this quarter, then, is to tap into compassion for others to avoid spiraling. It's something that we can do individually, but even small acts of compassion can dramatically influence the collective. June 21st, we have a full moon at 1 Capricorn. This full moon is ruled by Saturn in Pisces, which is in a wide conjunction with Neptune. These two planets are now in a part of their 35-year cycle that is coming to a close. Now, Saturn and Neptune won't conjoin for another 2 years, but we are starting to see the way the cycle comes to an end and the outlines of the next cycle too. In many ways, this full moon is about distinguishing wishful thinking or fantasy from reality. Remember too that sometimes the fantasy can be negative, allowing ourselves to fall into paranoia or the delusion that nothing will ever change or get better. Sinking into the swamps of despair isn't any more realistic and is every bit as self-indulgent as giving into rose-colored daydreams. So, a few words about the big picture cosmic role of Saturn in Pisces. I will paraphrase René Guénon from his essay, The Mysteries of the Letter Nun. According to Guénon, Pisces, or the fish, are mythologically related to various savior figures, whether it's the Matsya Avatara of the Hindu tradition, or the Ichthus of the early Christians. In the Vedas, Vishnu manifests himself in the form of a fish and orders a man named Satyavrata to construct the ark in which the seeds of the future world are to be enclosed. And in this fish form, he guides the ark over the waters during the cataclysm, which marks the boundary between two great world ages, or manvantaras. It is important to note that the Matsya Avatara first appears as a harbinger of a cataclysm or doom before becoming the savior in that very same cataclysm. So Pisces has a connection with the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. Now, this is me talking again, and it seems to me that Saturn is particularly suited to this role as a harbinger of a cycle ending, because Saturn rules death and endings, but also he is the very planet that rules conservation of the seed that will start up the new cycle. So whenever Saturn in Pisces is activated over the next couple of years, remember the story of the Matsya Avatara and think of how these aspects to Saturn are showing a long cycle ending with the implicit promise of a new one beginning. Back to this full moon, Venus is with the Sun as well, and this is quite auspicious and helps out balance out some of the heavier elements of this lunation. As we saw in the Cancer ingress, the way to deal with the illusory nature of this moment is to practice compassion, both toward ourselves and toward others. It's not the same thing as pity, by the way. Compassion comes from looking at others more deeply and letting the full picture of their motivations and situation come into view without judgment. This will be the key to our practice for the next 2 weeks, and really for all time. June 21st, Mercury has his evening rise at 9 Cancer. Mercury emerges from under the rays the day of the full moon, which means that Mercury's emergence will be baked into the energy of the next 2 weeks. Now is the time that Mercury comes out from backstage, fully energized and aglow, a condition known as phases in Greek. Something magical, transformative, and even weird emerges into the world now. We may hear of deals or news that had previously been hidden or simply unknown now coming into full view. Now is our chance to make change happen, especially mercurial change, which is a bit unpredictable and seeks to add life to a possibly stable or stagnant situation. When planets emerge from the rays, they are enacting the creation part of the cycle of existence, which is creation, maintenance, and destruction. Mercury in cardinal Cancer indicates a very fast, fertile emergence of energy, like a wellspring of fresh water on which we can now draw. Thanks for watching. This is Nina Gryphon, and this is the Astrology and Magic channel.